You're listening to the official Reformed Stoic podcast, covering politics, philosophy, theology, conspiracy theories. I'm ready to get to the bottom of this life. Are you? Join Wolfgang, Sketty Squad, Purity Gang, as we strive to take dominion over this dying planet. I am Reformed Stoic, and this is my podcast. Let's ski. I'm gonna ski. I'm skiing. Ladies, it's a yes or no question. Do you or don't you? Let's go. Bam! Green eggs and ham. I remember the first time I had a squirt, baby. When I was a young lad at a family barbecue. Ah, those were the days. Mike Checky. All right, guys. Well, we're kind of trying something new today. We're covering a topic that's not incredibly serious. Monday's podcast was pretty intense, so we'll just see how it goes. We'll see how it goes when we cover a topic that's not especially woke or important. Halloween news. Couple of little news segments about Halloween, a little bit of article about candy. We can reminisce about our favorite candy, a little bit of a nod to Halloween, probably my favorite holiday. I'll tell you what, though, when Thanksgiving is good, when you have a good Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving's pretty damn good too, man. Turkey, gravy, mashed potatoes, sweet potatoes, pie. Yeah, but the whole October season, smearing up those horror movies. Y'all know it's cozy. I might have to finally watch that Disney movie tonight. It's calling my name, under wraps. I think I'm going to have like an old Disney movie marathon. I want to find all the Disney Halloween made-for-TV movies and smear them all. Then we're going to look over a little bit of atheist news. Let's see what's happening with atheism these days. And then a short segment for the religious segment on liberal churches. Kind of just a little bit of this, a little bit of that today. I think today should be pretty low-key. Should be good times, my friends. Hope everybody's doing good. Esoteric said that he just hit the gym today. I hit the gym as well, or I hit the home gym. Drumming went great. Working on this Max Roach transcribed drum solo. That's going good. And then I did 5 rounds shadow boxing. And then I did my 5 rounds calisthenics circuit. I've added shrugs to the calisthenics circuit, so it's rows, squats, push-ups, ab roller, and then shrugs. Don't worry about how many reps I'm doing. I'm trying to up the reps all the time. And then after that was all done, I did some extra squats. Got to squat it up. So it's pretty funny, guys. Lately, it's kind of been like good day, bad day, good day, bad day, good day, bad day. I got my laundry in right now, which is really important. I feel like I get itchy in the night. Nothing like clean bedding, dude. Got to keep the bedding clean. It tends to be the podcast days are good days, and then Tuesday, Thursday is kind of a crapshoot. We might think about doing the 5 podcasts a week again, guys. I just feel like I should think of other ways, like other productive stuff I can do on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but always a work in progress around here. Anyway, let's hit that news segment. Skol! You're listening to the Reformed Stoic News segment. Let's go! Exposed! What are you supposed to know about us, Blackbird? That's pretty random. All right. Alrighty then. Let's get it going. First up, we got ABC 7 Chicago. Stranger Things Halloween display shut down in Plainfield, Illinois over neighbors' concerns. Let's hit it.
Things just got stranger for the suburban Plainfield Halloween display of the same name after complaints from a lone neighbor forced the creators of the house haunt to close it for now.
Everyone seemed okay with it until they weren't.
Paying homage to the popular Netflix series, Appel dreamed up the spooky seasonal setup displayed in their front yard. It replicates a scene from the show and features a lifelike mannequin dressed as the character Max Mayfield appearing to hover in midair.
It was just really cool. We saw it on TikTok. We just thought it was so cool that you couldn't see any wires or anything.
The family says the video of the display they posted on TikTok not only got more than 14 million views, with everyone wondering what's keeping Max afloat, but also some unwanted attention from one neighbor who at first they said was okay with their display when they asked for permission to put it up.
It's upsetting, to be told, we support you, we're behind you, we understand why you're doing this, and to have that blow up in your faces.
Possibly angered by the crowds and the popularity of the display, the family says that one neighbor has accused them of bringing negative attention to the neighborhood, endangering the community's children, and making the neighborhood a target of possible home invasions because of all the spectators. Other people who live here don't agree.
It's just all families coming out to see such an amazing setup.
The Stranger Things Halloween display remains shuttered for now. The family says they never intended to cause a fuss. They were just hoping to have some fun. Tomorrow they plan on going and talking with city officials, trying to figure out what they need to do to reopen the display. Reporting from Plainfield, Evelyn Holmes, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Karen hype. Well, it sounds like it's more than just a Karen, but it started with a neighbor lady. You got your display that's going to poke somebody's eye out. People just jealous, haters. I don't know, man. That's just kind of the TikTok age. It used to be, there was always people who went above and beyond for Christmas decorations or Halloween decorations. And before everything went global with internet stuff like TikTok, your neighbors would know about it. Maybe people in town would know about it. I got mixed feelings about it, man. And maybe some people out there are thinking oh, what a normie. They're working super hard on their Halloween decorations. Honestly, guys, it's the little things in life, dude. I'm all about the little things. I'm out here talking about how, fucking Disney movies from the 90s are, keeping me from having a mental breakdown. So, you know what? If you work hard and you get excited to, make a Stranger Things home decoration, then good for you, buddy. But, if on one hand, I want to be oh, it's just some Karen neighbor who is ultimately just, seething in jelly. But, yeah, TikTok is bringing all these people there, put them at risk for home invasion. Let's see what we got in the comments. I love it. It's so creative. I love Halloween, and I'm so sorry that you have morons for neighbors. I hope you will be able to display it for Halloween. Great job on Max. Grinch neighbors could use a change of a Halloween heart. I do hope come Christmas, they go knock on that neighbor's door and tell them they need to take down their lights. And, oh, watch, dude, the neighbors are probably going to get harassed now. See, the internet just makes everything, too big of a deal. Everybody's going to start ganging up on the neighbors, which is ironic because that's probably why the neighbors were upset in the first place. It's just whatever, dude. These people, I don't know if they have that much to live for, if this fucking Stranger Things thing is that important to them. But, like I said earlier, hey, man, if this is something that's really important to you, then all the power to you, man. It's really important to me to, rewatch Dragon Ball Z and Friends. So, do whatever you're going to do. Oh, boy, here we go. Let's be respectful to women today. These are a couple of fun ladies here. We're going to have fun. Try these tricks to save on treats this Halloween. Let's go.
Halloween, 4 weeks away, and of course, between the costumes, the decorations, the candy, it can be easy to go a little overboard.
I know, you get into it, and then it's did I really need to spend that? No. So we've called in our special Halloween correspondent. Stephanie Rule. She's going to help us save Steph. Good morning. Nobody loves Halloween like you do.
Nobody. It is Halloween. What?
I absolutely. You know what? It's the day to escape. It's the day to be something you're not.
Hold on, girls. Is there room for one more at this party? Whee! I know. We're having fun.
364 other days a year. And I'm very excited because this year we're expecting record spending, unfortunately in part because of inflation, but it's also because people want to get out and celebrate. But the good news is, I've got ways you can save.
Okay, let's start candy.
The most important part.
Right, when to stock up? Should we already have it by now?
Okay, I'm going to start with this. Everybody who's saying, I need to get that candy early, it's going to sell out. You just want to buy your candy early. I see you. That is baloney. Historically speaking, candy does not sell out. And if you buy it a couple of days, even the day before or on Halloween, you're really going to save because you know the grocery store can't sell it the day after. That is one thing you can wait on.
Yeah, this is something that kind of wore off for me. Like, I don't think I want to have any candy in my place. It just becomes an excuse to start, like, eating shitty and losing shape. Now, if there's candies out there that are low-fat, high-carb, that's actually not the end of the world, dude. You know, maybe, like, I'll buy a Snickers at some point in moderation. Yep, when I was a kid, dude, I remember, I think it was 8th grade. Let's see, some of my costumes from back in the day. One of them, I made my own werewolf costume. It would have been awesome if it would have stuck together. I used black sweatpants, and then I bought this, like, fake fur from Walmart, and I glued, like, fur patches onto my sweatpants. I made like a homemade werewolf costume. One time we had like a Halloween bowling party. I was Marth and Wesley was Roy. We were Marth and Roy from Fire Emblem, or really Super Smash Bros. Melee. Let's see. I wish I remembered more of them, dude. I'm pretty damn sure I dressed up every year. It got to a point where I was like edgy, and I was like, oh, I'm too cool to dress up. Yeah, shit, what did you guys dress up as?
Sorry, I know you're like, I need to stock up early. Yeah, because you want mini Snickers.
Do you have any advice about how much to buy? Because I overbuy, and then it's just we all know what happens.
Because you really want to have the candy.
I know, but it's for the children.
Sure, it's for the children, which is why you should buy candy that you don't like. Buy candy that you don't like, which means you're not going to.
You don't like?
I like all of them, so it's a bad one for me. However,
I don't like Mars bars.
Yeah.
Or Clark bars.
Yeah, I don't like good and funny.
Those are really old-fashioned
really?
ones.
I know, that's
let me just say, you two really just dated yourselves.
Well, you know what? That's enough. Let's move on.
Okay, but this one is a science, not an art. Think about your neighborhood. Do you have a lot of kids every year? Do you have a really decorated neighborhood? If you're buying the day before, is it going to rain? If it's going to rain, if it's not going to be a big day, chances are you're not going to have that many kids.
How much do you give to a kid? 2 pieces, 1 piece?
Dude, okay. Everybody from my generation probably remembers the Scream masks. There was all kinds of Scream masks, dude. When Scream came out, you weren't cool unless you had a fucking Scream mask. And my mom would not let me get a white one. Like, there was the white one where you could squeeze the pump and the blood would come down the face. One of my friends had that. I saw all kinds of people with the white Scream masks. My mom let me get a green one. I had a green Scream mask, which, you know, was pretty cool looking back. But, man, I wanted that white one. I wanted the one that had the blood coming out of it. Mommy said no because it's too violent. Like, a green Scream really makes that much of a difference. But whatever. That's a good one.
What do you do?
Well, if you're Al Roker.
He gives the whole bar.
Al Roker goes the full kingers.
Not even the fun, not a couple of
No,
fun
that's why it's so stressful to live near Al. You feel like a loser next to that guy.
Okay, so what should you give? What's a regular person?
It depends.
Whatever.
You know, that's all entirely up to you.
Okay, costumes. Now, these can get really pricey.
Okay. All right, here we go, costumes.
Stretch
First
out.
of all, you can go to all sorts of websites. There are costume websites, party websites. I would say do it early so you can get free shipping. However, I'm going to say don't go to the websites. Go old school.
Like what?
Okay, when you were growing up, you were the same thing every year.
Yes.
You went into your basement.
Oh my God.
I was a fortune teller for 6 years. My sister a pizza man for 8.
You know what my mother would say? She'd go in my closet, find something, put it on. Here, there's my tennis dress. You're Chrissy Everett.
Okay, that's my point.
That was brilliant.
It's October.
Wait, do you know what my best costume was?
Please.
I was a voting machine. I'll never forget it. I'm going to date myself.
Epic.
Wait, I'm going to date it right now. Carter Ford. I had 2.
A voting machine? Cringe. What? That's the most random cringe bullshit ever.
2 bags. I never got more candy in my life. They're like, who's winning?
It was
I go,
all Mars
Carter.
bars.
They were like, 4.
There
Dump
you
it
go.
in. No, it
There
was
you go.
it's a good one.
But just go in your closet, right?
Okay.
It's October. It's
All
when we
right.
clean out our closets. You definitely have terrible outfits in your closet.
Look at you. Is that
right
you?
now?
You
Oh,
and
that's
your
my
husband.
husband
What are you
and I.
doing?
Oh my goodness, Burning Man that year. The one before we were Jersey Shore Snooki. Oh,
okay.
here we are.
You just do what you.
We
Wait,
go for it.
Do you
We
have
really
to
go
convince
for it.
him, or he wants?
Dude, some people are like so like they try to come up with like the most creative shit ever, and they work so hard on it, and then it's like really cringe. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like the best idea ever. It's like, actually, it's like kind of cringe, and you worked really hard on it, and yikes, you're really cringe.
Okay, you know what? Everybody always says, my gosh, he's a good sport. They're always his idea.
Oh, really?
He's a weirdo. He's a
All right.
weirdo.
Okay, so let's do decorations.
Okay.
Because that can get expensive, but it's so fun.
It can, right? And you can go to the websites like overstock.com to, boom, it's a discount website. But also, when you go to the craft store, always look for coupons. I was at Michael's this weekend with my husband. He's checking out as I'm like, no, ask the person at the register. Sure enough, 20% off. But again, here, go old school.
Yeah.
You've got old sheets in your closet. Make a ghost. I am sure there are dolls in your house covered in magic marker.
Oh,
Stick
use
those in your yard.
So what do you
Scare
do?
a neighbor.
You do a lot, though.
I go for it.
You go
but
a little
that's because
crazy.
by doing it with your family, that's the tradition. So do you really just want to buy some big decoration and put it in your front yard, or make it? I love making it with my family.
That's what we did. We had a rainy weekend here in the Northeast. All we did was make Halloween
Oh, you
decorations.
did?
Yeah, I'll put a
We're unironically watching this right now. I'm sorry, guys. It's almost over.
picture
So
up.
what's-
They're just like signs that say boo and things like that my kids made.
That's really cute.
Yeah.
Stick them up. What do you think is going to be like the go-to Halloween costume this year?
Here's the good news.
What?
Traditional. Kids are going Spider-Man, princess, witch. Great, you have those. And if you don't have them, ask a neighbor. You can recycle costumes. And for adults, no surprise. Witch, ghost, vampire. The one thing I would say to you ladies, and I'm not
I remember I was a dragon one time. I had this like zip-up dragon costume. I think that was the first thing I ever was.
saying it's everywhere, but something has happened in the last 10 years with adult costumes that every stinking woman out there is a sexy version of it.
Yeah.
So just when you think, oh, I'm going to go as a witch, I warn you before you go to a party, it's going to be filled with sexy nurse, sexy witch, sexy cat.
By the way, you never have fun when you're dressed like
No,
that.
you don't.
You don't.
However,
You
the
don't.
last time I went as Mrs. Roper and I walked in and everybody was sexied out, I
Yeah.
was like, do you have a scissors I can put to this?
Well,
And
you
just
know,
no
some of
going
those
in.
costumes of yours are plenty sexy.
Yeah.
But I learned over
saying.
time.
Yeah.
Over
Well.
time, I learned.
Thank you,
Ghost,
Steph.
Ghost is not sexy.
Yeah,
Hard
no.
to make Ghost sexy.
No,
It's a
no
sheet.
matter what you
But
do.
that's why I like it. You know
too.
what? And you can be
it's
warm.
easy.
That's the joke from Mean Girls. She goes to the Halloween party and all the girls are like slutty and she's wearing like the weird gory Frankenstein costume because she didn't get the memo. Mean Girls. I kind of like Mean Girls. I think everybody kind of likes Mean Girls. I have this like really nostalgic memory, dude, where I was watching it with girls and I was like, so close yet so far. I blew it to Mean Girls.
Underneath.
Yeah,
you can be
cozy.
warm.
All right, thank you,
There
Steph.
you go. I
What a
told you I
delight.
like
Back
holidays.
early and often. It's so good. If you want more ways to save, don't forget to check out our website, today.com/onthemoney, and check out Stephanie's Instagram around
Oh,
Halloween.
indeed. So much
good.
fun.
Okay, well, we probably didn't need to watch that, but it's too late now. So now, on a more serious note, authorities warn parents about rainbow fentanyl ahead of Halloween. Oh, goody. Now, I've always heard about this. Why would anybody, like, they put, like, razor blades in apples, or they put, like, drugs in the can? Like, what the fuck is wrong with people, dude? Who does that? What kind of person does that? Obviously somebody bad. I wonder if the CIA does that. Don't go trick-or-treating from the CIA, kiddos.
A warning, certainly one here that parents need to hear with Halloween coming up. It's about potentially deadly fentanyl pills that look like candy. Drug officials in New York confiscated 15,000 of the rainbow-colored pills, and many of them were hidden in a Lego box, and they're turning up all over the country. Our Stephanie Ramos joins us now with more. Stephanie, good morning to you.
TJ, good morning. This story is so concerning. Drug enforcement agents say 2 milligrams of fentanyl can kill a person. Police say the amount they found just a few blocks away from here could have killed 500,000 people.
This morning, federal agents with an urgent warning to parents about rainbow fentanyl, pills the colors of candy.
This is every parent's worst nightmare as Halloween fast approaches.
In New York City, 15,000 rainbow fentanyl pills seized from a car just days ago, many of them found in this yellow Lego box. Doctors especially concerned the pills may appeal to teens or young adults.
To a very young person, the potential for tragedy is very high.
Rainbow fentanyl, which has the same potentially deadly risks as other forms of fentanyl, first showing up on the West Coast in February and making its way across the country. Now, in more than 21 states, the DEA says other forms of the drug are causing crisis nationwide. The Department of Justice recently seizing more than 10 million fentanyl pills and 980 pounds of fentanyl powder.
What drugs did they take?
This dramatic body camera video from Las Vegas police shows what officials say is officers responding to a fentanyl call in August, saving the lives of 3 people. And in California, at least 9 reported cases of teens in the Los Angeles school district reportedly overdosing on pills containing fentanyl.
The problem in the state of California is so alarming that the Los Angeles School District is now making Narcan, an opioid overdose medicine, available in every K through 12 school, calling it a necessity. Robin.
It says so much in that last statement. Okay, Stephanie, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here.
I mean, if you think about it, dude, Halloween seems to be designed to just be like peak America times type of thing. You go around to strangers' houses and a bunch of strangers give your kids candy. Like, that's what they say not to do. Never take candy from strangers, kids, except on Halloween. And, you know, when everything was all good, when life was, like, not sketchy and fucked up, you could actually, for the most part, trust strangers to give your children just regular-ass candy. I got such good memories of Halloween, dude. I remember going to people's houses to trick-or-treat, and they would be in there watching horror movies with their big bowl of candy. And I thought, someday I'm going to be that guy. Someday I'll be an adult, and I'll be watching horror movies, and people will trick-or-treat at my place. I've still yet to ever get a trick-or-treater, and I'm not going to lie, I don't want any trick-or-treaters. Don't trick-or-treat here. I'm not going to have any candy. You have to, like, just make your house look super uninviting. You, like, turn off all the lights, and you don't have any decorations, and I really wonder how it's holding up these days. I have a feeling like more and more houses over the years aren't giving candy to trick-or-treaters, and it's probably a dying tradition at this point. Pillowcase out and came home loaded. I did some like middle schooler trick-or-treating. I remember me and my friends would trick-or-treat in middle school, and we wear like dumbass costumes, and it was good times, man. Why would a drug dealer give drugs to kids instead of selling it or taking it themselves? This is reminding me of the razor blades and poison and candy myths that still get passed around every year. This is absolutely terrifying. Please stay safe this year. Yeah, that's pretty screwed up, dude. Buzz Lightyear pillowcase. Let's go. All right, wrapping this section up. Which is the most popular Halloween candy in your state, according to online shopping data? I wanted to look at this one just so we could like kind of reminisce over candy, talk about our favorite candies a little bit. What types of candy can we expect to steal from our children's trick-or-treat bags this year? New study might have the answer. CandyStore.com, an online candy retailer specializing in wholesale and bulk orders, has once again attempted to determine the most popular Halloween candies by state. All right, let's just go ahead and get right down to it. Alabama, Skittles. I probably don't like Skittles as much as M&Ms. They're kind of like after you like eat a bunch of them, you get kind of like a weird sharp razor blade taste in your mouth. Skittles, they're all right. Sour Patch Kids in Alaska. Really, Alaska's favorite is Sour Patch Kids. I was never a big Sour Patch Kids guy. You know what I was Warheads. Warheads, bro, and I'll bet they don't even have those on here. The hard candy Warheads. Yep. Nobody's favorite candy is Warheads. I shit you not, dude. In second grade, me and my friend would just buy giant-ass bags of Warheads and just fucking like one after the other. Super sour, The black cherry was the most sour. Sometimes we just get an entire bag of black cherry. Sounds weird as shit looking back on it. Like, really? Warheads? It's fucking weird, dude. Me and my friends, when we were kids, we needed more supervision. I remember we had Now 4, and we were listening to All the Small Things from Blink-182 over and over and over and over again, eating Warheads. Like, dancing around to the song, eating Warheads. Hershey Kisses in Arizona. Hershey Kisses are good, pretty straight up. Butterfingers in Arkansas. Reese's Cups in California. I probably like Reese's Cups better than Butterfingers. The Reese's Cups kind of seem like they're small. Hershey Kisses in Colorado. Almond Joy in Connecticut. So let's see, there's Almond Joy. Is Mars Bars? No, Mounds. Mounds is the Almond Joy without almonds. Both of those are good, Almond Joy and Mounds. Sour Patch Kids in Delaware. Reese's Cups in Florida. Swedish Fish. Dude, me and my weird-ass, edgy friends, when I had these, like, sketchy-ass gothic friends in 8th grade, we would always go to Walmart and get Swedish Fish. It's so random, dude. I need my bag of Swedish Fish. You know, we had, like, dyed hair and black clothes, and we tried to be all, like, edgy and goth and shit. And, oh my gosh, dude, Swedish Fish, LMAO, they're so random. I guess they were all right. They were good, but it was one of those things where it was part of our scene. It was part of being a weird fucking scene kid. Like, LMAO, Swedish Fish, they're so random. Hershey's Mini Bars in Hawaii. Snickers in Idaho. Gotta love Snickers. That's classic. Very American. Sour Patch Kids in Illinois. You know, I don't really care what state they're popular in. I'm probably just going to, like, go over these candies so we can reminisce on candy. Starbursts. Starbursts are all right. I was always a chocolate guy. But a Starburst every now and then between all the chocolate. M&M's, can't go wrong. Reese's Cups. Lemon Heads in Louisiana. Lemon Heads, huh. I faintly remember what those are. Those are weird. Let's see. Hot tamales. Hot tamales are weird, dude. A spicy candy. Yeah, I remember hot tamales. I think I'd get those at the movie theater every now and then. Three Musketeers. So, I got this shit memorized. So, it goes, Three Musketeers is just the fluffy chocolate. Then Milky Way is the fluffy chocolate and the caramel. And then Snickers is peanuts, fluffy chocolate, and caramel. So Three Musketeers is the most straight up, just with the fluffy chocolate. Milky Way is the fluffy chocolate and the caramel. And then the Snickers is fluffy chocolate, caramel, and the nuts. I always kind of like the Milky Way. But honestly, as an adult, Snickers is the way to go, dude. I mean, I enjoy all three of them, but Snickers has it all. There's the Milky Way. Twix are interesting. Twix are definitely not one of my favorites. I'd probably rather have a Snickers than a Twix, but Twix is not bad. Tootsie Pops. I always enjoyed Tootsie Pops, dude. My godfather worked at a auto mechanic shop. Anytime we go there, we get a Tootsie Pop. Anytime my mom would go to the bank, I'd get a Tootsie Pop. The banks give you Tootsie Pops. And now the banks are like, why are you exposing us, bro? We gave you all those Tootsie Pops when you were a kid. Whoa, Tootsie Pops. You're right. The bankers aren't bad, guys. Hershey's Mini Bars. Let's see here. I think we've about covered them all. Jolly Ranchers. Jolly Ranchers are boring as fuck, dude. Teachers, there would be teachers who would have big jars of Jolly Ranchers and they'd give you one if you were good. They're all right. Blow Pops. Wait, Blow Pops? Tootsie Pops. Yeah, Blow Pops had bubble gum inside of them. Shit's weird. All right. McDonald's may be resurrecting a Halloween favorite. Let's go. No matter which candy might be most popular in your state, CandyStore.com expects there to be plenty of it in 2022. All right, right, guys. Laffy Taffy, yeah. Laffy Taffy, Vanilla Tootsie Roll. Kit Kats. Yeah, nobody's favorite was Kit Kats, bro. What the hell is up with that? I probably like Kit Kats better than Twix. You know what? Twix are pretty good, though. Twix are pretty good, actually, now that I think about it. Only chocolate bars I messed with were Snickers, Kit Kats, Mint Chocolate, Aero. I'm not familiar with that one. Junior Mints. Junior Mints are weird, dude. There's times I get Junior Mints at the movie theater sometimes. Licorice is good. Twizzlers. Three Musketeers over Twix. Yeah, that's a close one for me. Milky Way, let's go. Cranberry Raisins. Yeah, they're pretty good. One kid's parents only gave out raisins. Yikes. Not a bad way to carb up, though. All right, well, that concludes the Smeartober section. So now we're going to switch over to Atheists. What is going on with Atheists today? So this is from 2022. This one's a little bit old. This is December 2021. This is brand new. This is from yesterday. So this is all pretty relevant. This guy looks like Peter Griffin. Dogmatic atheism is a real threat to our way of life. Sky News Australia.
Don't forget, always there on Facebook, 24/7, where the fight is always on. Highlights at skynews.com.au. And thanks to everyone who's supporting the show so well this year. I really appreciate it. Who knew we could build from the 10 years prior, but we well and truly have. So thank you to everyone watching us on Foxtel, Flash and free-to-air. The great Corey Bernardi's part of the team here at Sky News. Before that, for his sins, he was in the federal parliament. And, well, Corey, there's a lot of people who like to use the term Corey was right. And we're starting to see that now about the mess of negotiating that goes around the religious freedom laws that are in place now, that are apparently on their way through Parliament. Now, I'm going to make this very clear to everyone who's listening. I don't believe that any law in the country should allow someone to be discriminated because of what they are, right? So therefore, gay kids, trans kids, all the rest of it, no way should those kids be booted out.
You know, I feel like kids shouldn't have a sexuality. Is that controversial? It's like, hey, Mom, I'm 9 years old and I realize that I'm gay. It's like, hey, you know, why don't you, like, watch cartoons and fucking play and do your homework? And, you know what I mean, dude? It's like, I don't think kids should have a sexuality. But, yeah, I mean, it should default to just regular. I'm trying not to, like, get a hate speech strike, but I don't know, dude. Like, what's your child's sexuality? Like, isn't that just kind of weird, bro? Why don't you guys just do your homework, dog? This is why I think we should have gender-segregated schools, like, all through high school, bro. And then if you want to go to, like, a mixed-gender college, by all means, but I feel like the real Ivy League, like, winners would fucking go to, like, not even mixed-gender colleges, bro. It's degenerate.
Conversely, should a religious school be able to pick and choose who works for it? Yeah. Fair enough. Should they get government funding while at the same time having that discretion? I don't know. But we'll see where this lands, because despite the fact that it's past the party room, lefty Liberals scared of the voices of fake independents might vote against it, but we have no idea where Labor is on all of this. It'll be fascinating to know, because if Labor and Liberal get together, it's a win for the Prime Minister. If Labor doesn't vote for it, though, Corey, does that give the Prime Minister something to reach out to communities of faith that presumably are already locked in as the migrant communities of Labor heartland?
Yes, Paul, there's got to be a strategy behind this. And from the Prime Minister's point of view, it was an election commitment to present this legislation in the hope that it would get through, and he would want it to have bipartisan support. But if it fails, and if it fails not because of Liberals but because of the Labor Party and the Greens, then he can say, I fulfilled my pledge. These are the people that are against it. But the devil's always in the detail here, Paul. You know, Labor are masters at spinning their opposition to anything and saying they're doing it for some moral and virtuous cause. And so are the Greens. Do you remember they voted against a carbon pollution reduction scheme or whatever it was at the time with Kevin Rudd because it wasn't good enough, and then spent the next 6 years complaining they didn't have one in place. So the hypocrisy with politics, and particularly opposition politics, is extraordinary. But it's going to be fascinating to see the details of this policy that will obviously come out tomorrow. The party room's ticked off on it, but as you point out, the lefty Liberals, Paul, are I don't know. Maybe they just hate religion. Their religion is themselves, and that's the big problem we've got now. There's a lot of people in politics that are all about themselves.
That's a really tough question, Duke. I beat both of them. I feel like the story in 7 is more epic, but man, I kind of like the gameplay of 8 maybe better. They're about tied for me, dude. I'd say play both of them, man. The grind in 7 is pretty brutal. The popular grinding spot is when you get to that cave. I feel like you don't have to do as much grinding in 8. You can break the game in 8. Some people don't like that card game, Triple Triad in 8. They're both good, though. That's a hard choice. I'd say they're about even.
Themselves rather than the good of the community.
Now, there are many things that people write to me about saying they don't like about the show. Sometimes I talk too fast, sometimes I talk too loud. But a rather consistent theme has been that as an atheist, I don't understand things. But something that a lot of people miss about this is that I am deeply respectful of faith. And I'm also somebody who can read demographics. The vast majority of people in this country believe in a power higher than them. The majority are Christian, but there's many other faiths all over the shop. So what I love here is that normally the sort of atheist members of the media who go, why do you want to do any of this whatsoever? Isn't everyone somebody who doesn't believe in Jesus? Well, no. The actual reality is the majority of the country has a role that faith plays in their life. For some, it might be all day, every day. For some, it might be multiple prayers a day. For some, it might be Easter and Christmas when it comes to, attending services. But this is the classic gulf, and we talked about this a bit tonight, the classic gulf between the people who talk about and participate in politics and the people who actually live in the society. It's only 30% of the country that says none of the above. Last time I checked, that's not a majority.
Yeah, you're right. Again, and it comes back to this idea of self-centeredness, I think. There's the majority of people in this country believe that there is a greater being at work in this world than themselves. And that manifests itself in religious faith or a belief in a greater deity. And it doesn't matter, to many, whether that's the Christian God or the Jewish God or the Muslim God or Buddha or anything else. For many, it's about having a higher sense of purpose. And I think you have to respect that. That doesn't mean I have to agree with everyone's belief structure there. I mean, we've got some kooky religions out there, but I do think it is important to not put yourself at the centre of the universe and say, hey, there is something at work here. But the atheists, they can't cope with that. They want everyone to be focused on themselves, and it's all a very selfish approach. And that by doing that, they can then undermine basically the community or the sentiment that holds us together, that binds us together, which are the laws and underpin our way of life. And it is a pure threat. It is a real threat. And what I find extraordinary, Paul, is that most of these dogmatic atheists who condemn all religions will be happy to say, get your rosaries off my ovaries and attack the Catholics or the Christians in the parliament. But they will never have a bad word to say about some of the behavioural problems that are present in militant Islam. They're silent about that, about the oppression of women or about some of the nuttier religions that are out there that have been authorised as religions. That are
and as we talked about last
fringe.
week, imagine if a fringe footballer from the Sydney Swans says, I'm not wearing the gay pride jersey, and they're a Christian. We know what the reaction would be versus what happened in the AFLW.
All right. Well, a lot of something I bring up over here a lot is FDR's Four Freedoms speech, that here in the United States, people will be free to worship God in any way they please. That was a slippery slope to what we have now. It's confusing stuff, guys, because ultimately this country was founded by, at the highest levels, Freemasons, but the religion of the people was Protestantism. And then there's the First Amendment, you have some writing from John Adams regarding the First Amendment, saying he feared, he had some writing against the Jesuits, honestly, because a big part of what the First Amendment amounted to was allowing Catholics into the United States. So really, First Amendment freedom of religion here, it was all about Protestants, Catholics, Baptists. It was about freedom of denominations of Christianity. That's really what it meant. And it eventually slippery sloped over to perennialism, which just is a way of... the perennial philosophy, simplified, is just that there's a divine truth emanates from all religions, and it's just this like ooey gooey feel good. Every religion is a way to express your worship of God. And I'm not trying to like bully people who aren't Christians, but I maintain that this country should have always been a Christian nation. You got FDR around World War II time doing the For Freedom speech, putting this emphasis on how wonderful it is that God will be worshipped in any way that people please, and open the floodgates. And a lot of people say that Vatican II opened the floodgates. And it's problems, man. I don't want to force people to live any certain way. I just think that people who are aware of what liberalism has done to the West, we should be able to have a place to just shamelessly be Christian without being bullied over it. It's never been about equality. It's always been about power. Really real. I'm a Christian, and I am not ashamed of this. I am happy to allow others to believe or not to believe in anything they choose. Yet, I am frequently mocked online for my belief. Or, if not direct mocking, atheists leave me comments like, "Come back when you engage your brain." The irony here is that it was thinking that led me to Christianity. Yeah, same here. I will not shove my religion down your throat or force it upon you. It is a fringe minority who knock on your door on the weekend. I don't know of any Christians who try to impose their beliefs on others. The most enthusiastic believers I know might tell you of their belief, and if you reject it, they shut up. I want to be allowed to be a Christian without being ridiculed for it. Christianity gives me peace. It takes the rough edges of a difficult life, off a difficult life. Please allow me this, and I allow you your belief. Now, I feel like a very common atheist response to this would be, they would respond to him saying, I want to be allowed to be a Christian without being ridiculed for it. Well, you need to move then, because this is a free country and people can say whatever they want. People can believe whatever they want. If you want to be away from ridicule, like that's become a big part of what liberal enlightenment values are about, is that we have the right to mock you. It's real normie stuff, guys. It's real normie stuff. Like, yeah, it would nice to live somewhere where everybody's Christians and you don't get mocked for your beliefs. Like, that would be nice. That would be a more sophisticated way of life. And a lot of modern far-left liberals just really want everybody in the world to get used to the idea of people have the right to make fun of you, people have the right to disrespect you, people have the right to harass you. And it's like, man, that kind of seems like these values, like, maybe aren't that great. What is happening in schools with all this is what's going to happen in churches. My church is only for those who live by the Creator. As an example, the number are a surprise. In Canada, they list the non-affiliated as irreligious. They include Indigenous and Buddhist beliefs. So the atheists are a small number. 75% are believers, and yet 100% of churches were closed. We put up with comments of cringe from a small fringe minority in our online services. Where is the protections for our believers and the foundations of our countries? Yeah, like, these liberal values is a never-ending, we're allowed to be atheist, we're allowed to make fun of you for being Christian, we're allowed to make your kids uncomfortable in public schools. It's like, well, Christians have rights too. We've put a lot of emphasis on the rights of everybody other than Christians. We still have rights, and it's getting to a point where we're just getting bullied by all these other people, man. And it's like, it was sure nice of us to invite everybody to this country so they could bully us and ridicule us, because it's Not really working now. All right, we're doing pretty good on time here. Biden administration gives millions to organizations spreading atheism. Let's go, Sleepy Joe. Dark Brandon hype.
The Biden administration is giving millions of dollars to international organizations committed to the practice and spread of atheism and humanism. Congressional Republicans are not happy about it, and they've written a letter demanding answers. Capitol Hill correspondent Eric Rosales reports. Eric.
Well, good evening to you, Owen. I think the biggest thing that we have to remember about this is American taxpayer money that's being used to fund this grant program. And these grants aren't cheap. We're talking $500,000 each going to foreign entities as long as they support atheism. The program is now being challenged by Republican candidates.
If some State Department employee wants to go out on his own time and pamphlet promoting that there is no God, he is free to do that. But we are doing this in the name of the United States of America.
Wisconsin Republican Congressman Glenn Grothman is one of more than a dozen Republicans who wrote a letter to President Biden and Secretary of State Antony Blinken, stating $500,000 grants that promote atheism by the U.S. State Department are illegal. Representative Grothman and his colleagues wrote that, quote, "It is one thing for the department to be tolerant and respectful of a wide range of belief systems. It is quite another for the United States government to work actively to empower atheists, humanists, non-practicing, and non-affiliated in public decision-making. Any such program for any religious identifiable group in the United States would be unconstitutional."
What are the forefathers, such a deeply religious bunch, thinking if they saw that our wonderful country would evolve into a country in which we are using our financial resources to promote atheism around the world?
According to the official notice, the funding provided by the Biden administration to the organizations selected by the department are used to support building networks and advocacy groups for atheists, namely in South Central Asia and in the Middle East, North Africa. Republicans say the controversy has intensified after the Biden administration has been called out for flying a Black Lives Matter flag at the U.S. Embassy in Germany and a same-sex pride flag at the U.S. Vatican City Embassy.
Across the board, the Democratic Party has become the party of really Christian hatred.
If Republicans do take control of the House after the November election, the Republican Study Committee budget has already proposed banning these types of funds from going to the State Department to be able to fund these types of programs along with critical race theory. At the Capitol, Eric Rosales, EWTN.
Crying out as they attack you. That's really what's going on. Oh, but the poor LGBT, they're innocent victims. Black Lives Matter, they're innocent victims as they try to take as much power as they can, making sure to try to put a big old boot on Christian rights and values. And it's ugly stuff. And yeah, Joe Biden's supposed to be a good Roman Catholic, but, you know, here he is kind of working for all these secular interests. And we talk a lot here about, like, you know, let's get to the bottom of it. What is more liberal, modern Catholicism or modern Protestantism? And that's a very tricky question. And, you know, back in my old Southern Israelite days, I was obviously convinced that, like, the Protestants were, like, the heroes of all time, and the Catholic Church was always evil. I see it a lot different now. You know, before the schism, before the Reformation, Christianity on earth was represented by the Catholic Church, and it started to take over after the Roman Empire fell, and it was a beautiful thing. The church was unified, the West was Christian, and then when you start to get to the Renaissance, the Protestant Reformation, the Industrial Revolution, the French Revolution, the United States Revolution, things are becoming more liberal, more enlightened. They're paving the way for the secular transhumanist shit trap. So some of Protestants' biggest things, their biggest issues is that a lot of Catholics believe the Catholic Church being the original mother church, you have to attend that church to be saved. I mean, with a lot of Protestants, that's their big thing. Salvation by faith, not by works. Therefore, I will not go to Catholic service because people there think you have to be there. But what if the Catholic service, and I'm not saying that I think Catholicism is superior to Protestantism, I'm just saying if that's your only issue, which is usually not, I'd say the two biggest ones are salvation by faith, and then also they have a problem with the rosary, Mary, the Hail Mary. They think they overemphasize Mary and pray to Mary. Well, they do pray to Mary, but, well, it's an intercession of prayer. But anyway, I digress. I just feel like, you know, let's just say that the Catholic service is better than your local Protestant service. You could go to a Catholic mass and just deep down think, hey, you know what? As much as I love this, as much as I think that this is the best expression of my faith with others, with my Christian brotherhood and sisterhood, I don't think you have to attend this to get saved. And it's just like, yeah, let's just say that the Catholic Mass is better than a Protestant service, which a lot of times I think it is. It's like, if the only reason you're not going is because, like, there's people here that think you have to go to this to get saved. I just think that's kind of bizarre. But yeah, you find really conservative Baptist and Protestant churches, and you find really liberal Baptist in Protestant churches. You find really conservative Catholic churches. There's people out there who seem to think there's no such thing as like trad Caths or conservative Catholics. Like, buddy, you haven't looked hard enough. But yeah, it's gotten to a point where there can be this disconnect. It's like, oh, well, the Pope is the vicar of Christ on earth, when really, like, the Vatican has just kind of become this non-profit organization. It's become like an NGO. What is that? Non-profit government organization. So yeah, you get some disconnect in the Catholic Church where they're conservative, they're trad Caths, but then you look at the actions of the Pope and it starts to get kind of cognitive dissonancy. Cognitive dissonancy. Comments are turned off. All right, moving on. Growing number of Americans are leaving organized religion. And I'll finish that by saying a really interesting perspective that I got from Rick is that Vatican II was really kind of the Protestantizing of the Catholic Church. So I think the real view of history is everybody ganged up against the traditional Catholic Church. Vatican I created the papacy, which seemed like it was always flawed and always it was the wrong direction. It created this space for the mercantile class to infiltrate the church. It seems like everybody was trying to take down the original Catholic Church, and Vatican II was... I think it's safe to say the Protestants were liberal first. The Protestants were liberal first. I'm not really picking sides. I'm not throwing either or under the bus, but I have a lot of making up to do because I used to heavily throw the Catholic Church under the bus. I talked like the Catholic Church was always this wicked thing and the Protestants figured out how to escape. I do not think that's accurate. I think the Protestants were rightly speaking against some of the corruption that was in the church, but then they were this very small, brand new, weak church that very quickly started to rub shoulders with Freemasons, the Royal Society, liberalism, Enlightenment values. So I think that's important to know. It was really the Protestants who were warming up to Freemasons. It was the Protestants who embraced Enlightenment liberal values first. And the Catholic Church was very traditional and conservative up until Vatican II. Here we go. Growing number of Americans are leaving organized religion.
It's not uncommon for people to seek God during times of hardship. And in some ways, the pandemic has been no different. But even before COVID, a growing number of Americans were moving away from organized religions, and the pandemic didn't do anything to stop that trend. A survey this month from the Pew Research Center found 29% said they had no religious affiliation. That's up 6 points from 2016, with the millennial generation leading that shift. So with the pandemic dragging...
Millennial generation leading that shift. You know what that is, guys? It's fucking... It is fucking fucking MTV, Comedy Central, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, Jim Carrey movies, punk music, emo music, rap music. It's the media, okay? Like, the media very successfully stripped millennials of their faith. I saw it happen to me, you guys. It happened to me in the most extreme sense, because the less extreme sense is listening to, like, Ariana Grande saying that God is a woman and rolling your eyes when anybody, like, oh, wow, here comes the crazy Christians. Oh, yeah, you're so offended that Ariana said God is a woman, right? You guys take things way too personally. With me, I was listening to fucking death metal where they were using, like, satanic occult concepts in the music, and I was rolling my eyes when it's like, oh, wow, you think this music sounds like it glorifies Satan? You think this satanic concept album glorifies Satan? You think this sounds like music? You think, oh my gosh, the crazy Christians think that this music that literally glorifies Satan is glorifying Satan. And then I got into the occult, and I think that I was smart enough to follow the direction that society leads you in, and it led me to the occult. And then I said, wait a minute, this is fucking a LARP, and this is wrong. So, F of A to Zemo. Yeah, a lot of people say that Squall is like a total autist, and it's kind of funny. But anyway, yeah, the millennials are leading the wave. I'm sorry, guys. A lot of them are just, they hang out at the bar. They follow Science Rocks page. Science Rocks pages on Facebook. Occupy Democrats pages. They love stand-up comedy. It's all the culture, man. It's just the culture stripping us of our faith.
On into its third year, CNBC's Seema Modi tells us faith leaders are trying new ways to reach out and touch someone.
For many, this is what religion looks and sounds like. Familiar customs, prayers, and holy sites. But the future of worship may look and feel very different. To reach millennials, 44% of whom say they have no religious affiliation, leaders are bringing the experience to them.
I use Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, stories, all sorts of things to go to where people are, and that's where a lot of the young people are.
Hoping to answer the toughest questions about life and death itself.
As we emerge from this pandemic, the younger generation's faith is changing a bit. I think it's raised some timeless questions for a group that might not have had to confront them, so early.
At the East End Temple, Rabbi Josh Stanton says he's doing less lecturing and more listening.
My sermons are getting shorter and shorter and more open. And what I try to encourage people to do is discuss them with me, argue about them.
You want people to argue with you?
There's an old joke that for every 2 Jews, there are 3 opinions. Our culture, for thousands of years, has been one of debate and discourse.
Debating controversial topics like the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
The facets of the arguments and conflicts, et cetera, are super important. And I think that that's certainly a pillar of Judaism, is that intellectual pursuit.
More progressive religions are gaining popularity. Middle Collegiate Church grew by 500 members during the pandemic, even though its actual building was destroyed by a fire last year.
We've put social justice and democracy in the middle of faith in a way that really speaks to young folks.
Some critics would say you're changing their relationship with God, that what you're doing is different than the traditional approach. What's your response?
I'm so glad I'm changing their relationship to God. If that's what we're doing, that's exciting to me. I'm trying to get God out of the box.
Member Perrin Allen grew up in a conservative Christian household, but as a gay man, struggled to feel accepted.
You have to do things the way the Bible says literally, but I feel like the Bible and Jesus Christ believed in love no matter what. And I feel like I found that at Middle.
It's not just love. Since the pandemic, spiritual leader Deepak Chopra says people are yearning for connection and community.
The pandemic showed us that people don't like isolation.
Chopra's foundation is hosting retreats where the spiritually minded.
It's really crazy, guys, once you start to wrap your mind around this. The floodgates were opened very shortly after World War II for freedom speech. Vatican II, you know, ultimately the First Amendment. John Adams was very concerned with the First Amendment, specifically, partially because of the Jesuits. The traditional unified church, you could definitely say the unified Catholic Church, but also, you know, early when it was just Baptists, Protestants, Catholics, the unified church establishment protected us from these things, and now all the grifters are coming in. Why do you think people join cults? Why do you think movements like The Secret and the Law of Attraction and these things are starting to take over? The New Age, occult, free love. The floodgates are open, guys. The unified church system protected us from these spiritual grifters, and now they're everywhere. And now your fourth grader kid is going to be like, wow, I think I believe in Harry Potter. I think I want to be a wizard. I believe in the law of attraction. I'm going to manifest things. We're headed towards the age of Aquarius. I believe in free love. God's all about love. People don't understand, man. People don't understand. A lot of people don't care. I'm trying to be really mature about it because I remember how I used to be. Yeah, normies end up in cults. Damn right. I remember how I used to be, guys. I was so clueless. I was so lost. I needed strong role models in my life. I didn't have them. I rebelled. I got sucked into absolute depravity. And it's scary stuff, you guys. Oh, they're forcing people to be Christian. They're forcing people to be Christian. It could be so much worse, and most people will never understand.
Come to heal, meditate, and connect.
We are creating both online and offline communities globally.
Rabbi Stanton views these changes as a spiritual awakening.
Rabbi, let's go. Let's get it for Rabbi Stanton. He's a rabbi. Let's go. Can we hear it for our Jewish friends? Skid it.
Just for people, but the faith community as a whole.
Institutions are going to shift dramatically, and we are all going to be the better off for it.
Whether at churches like this one, on social media, or at spiritual retreats, religious leaders we spoke to say the pandemic has fostered a stronger connection to spirituality in younger generations and see it as an opportunity to engage with them.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.
Shepherd's pie here. Y'all ever had shepherd's pie? Shit's good. Comments. Faith leaders are trying new ways to reach out and touch someone. Poor choice of words. This story is decades behind what is really happening with organized religion. So what's happening? The old Adam's apple creating in mama's womb with man, the forbidden fruit, the awakening mama nature lives. What? Really? Then enlighten us to what's really going on today in 2022. Yeah, please do. Religion has been on the decline for a long time. This only talks about statistics involving millennials. Just you wait for Gen Z. Most young people I know, 14 to 26, identify themselves as agnostics and atheists. Young religious people are actually the minority nowadays. Yeah. I agree. Mexico is actually one of the leading atheistic agnostic countries in the world. Yeah, Mexico. Woo! Gotta love Mexico, right? Stats have shown that organized religion is on life support, and with any luck, it'll flatline soon. Oh, with any luck, huh? Yeah. We'll see about that, buddy. I pray to the FSM that your optimistic outlook is true. You could probably just say any sky god, and that would be less offensive to some of the small minds out there. Talking the big talk. Yeah, like the original shepherd's pie is like fancy with like lamb or something. The one my mom would make is just like the really basic one. It was so good though. Just ground beef, nice and seasoned, layer of mashed potatoes on top, broccoli, and then melted cheese. It's good stuff. I think that the more we begin to understand our natural world and communicate with people outside of our own communities, we will naturally move farther away from supernatural belief. Yeah? That's nice that you have an opinion, buddy. I think we might be witnessing the end of the fucking world right now. So this idea that we're all so smart and enlightened and we're observing the natural world and we're moving away from God. Yeah, bro, we're moving towards a fucking nuclear world war. We're moving towards half of women don't have children at the age of 30. We're moving towards 60% of universities are women. Like, we're not moving towards anything good. All right. A growing number of Americans are growing up. Fixed it for you. Oh, wow. Wow. They're growing up. Oh, wow. They're growing up into atheists, right? They're growing up to laughing at Richard Dawkins talk about the apparent meaning of life. Well, why do we have language? Because monkeys needed to figure out how to trade their bananas. Ha 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 ha. That's what people are growing up towards. Fairy tales are for children. Oh, wow, dude. Calling something a fairy tale isn't really an argument, buddy. Like evolutionism, the idea a dot that came from nothing exploded. Yeah. We've seen the atheist versus Christian battle a million times, guys. We have 3 millennial kids, all born in the 90s, and all of them are non-religious. Not because of anything that we as parents have done, but due to their questions and observations. They went to and saw evangelical church services for themselves. Also, Greek Orthodox and Catholic masses. They came home after seeing all of this and made the determinations for themselves. They can read the Bible and question it with the logical, critical thinking skills and make those determinations for themselves. We never shoved religion, fear of God down their throats from infancy and forced them to believe faith and belief. Were things that were looked at skeptically and from an analytical point of view, not something that was supposed to be guilted into having. As we told them from an early age, question everything. Yeah, I'm sure your kids are really fucking smart, and I'm sure you're really smart too. People don't realize that the media is shoving a secular worldview down their throat. South Park's making fun of Christianity when they're in 4th grade. Family Guy and South Park are making fun of Jesus when they're in like 5th and 6th grade. Moral secular values are getting shoved down their throat by their bald-headed 13-ear piercings feminist teacher when they're in like 4th and 5th grade. People don't seem to realize it, man. It's sad. Oh, this comment section's sad. More info is available than ever before. People are finally opening their eyes. Yeah. I mean, I agree, but for an entirely different reason. More info about like how the Rockefellers fund climate change research, how they fund LGBT movements. You know, how George Soros has his MoveOn.org, where he funded Antifa and Black Lives Matter. And yeah, there's so much research, man. You can research Anthony C. Sutton and learn how Wall Street indiscriminately funded both sides of wars. And yep, there's more information out there than ever about how Freemasons and the mercantile class have created this weird new liberal enlightenment society that's ultimately fucking collapsing. I believe in common sense. Oh, really? Well, that means you're fucking stupid, because any philosopher who knows shit about shit knows that that's a nonsensical term. It's just common sense. So basically whatever you think is true is true. Any opinion that you have, you just label it common sense. I think that the sky's made out of cheese. It's just common sense. You see, how do we avoid that? Well, the way we avoid that, sweetie panty pants Daniel, see, men can be sweeties too. The way we avoid that is like, well, I guess when it comes to proving something, when it comes to learning what's the superior belief, there's not really any such thing as common sense. You need to study. You need to learn. You need to look at different evidence and use your brain to think critically and look for the best evidence. Common sense is fucking stupid, so I'm not even going to read your comment, dumbass. I believe in common sense. So whatever you believed originally before you did any research is what you believe? Wow, amazing. Thank you so much for your honesty. For me, it was the list of do's and don'ts that made me feel inadequate and further away from God. So you don't want to follow any rules. So God said that there's a right and wrong way to live your life, and you're like, oh, it's too hard. I don't want to hold myself up to any objective measure of good, right, or wrong. Therefore, God's not real. I don't want to be judged by an omnipotent creator. Therefore, there's no God. I'm done with this comment section, dude. I don't think boys should be subjected to angry, bitter feminist teachers from 3 years old. Correcto mundo. I can't tell you how many times I would be laughing with a girl in class. I'd be sent to the office. She wouldn't even get a stern word. They turn young boys into martyrs for behaving. Real. The Indian Express. More youngsters questioning religion now. Atheists at litmus meet. They said atheists, scientists, academics, and common people who question religions and the concept of God took part in the event that started at 9 a.m. Cringy! Kochi. No religion or God was spared on Sunday when a bunch of Malayalis got together in Kochi for Litmus 22. Touted as the biggest atheist conference in the world, Litmus saw participation of around 10,000 people. Said the organizers. They said atheists, scientists, academics, and common people who question religions and the concept of God took part in the event that started at 9 a.m. The theme this year was Let Evidence Lead. God is Harry Potter, said C. Ravenstran, one of the leading figures who has spoken out against religions. Religion is fiction created by some. However, unlike other literary figures, these writers never admitted to writing fiction, he said. Okay, can you prove that? No, you can't. So that's it. You've already been fucking eliminated. Can you prove that Harry Potter's not real? Yeah, it's a fiction written by J.K. Rowling. See, atheists are so smug about the dumbest. It's the very definition of Dunning-Kruger. Prove to me that Spider-Man isn't real. Okay, he was invented by a comic book author. Here he is. Here's his fucking bio. Prove to me Spider-Man isn't real. Okay, let's see. Spider-Man. Calm down there. I'm going to do it. Spider-Man. Do we got a wiki? Yep, here we go. Spider-Man. Spider-Man is a superhero appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics. Okay. Creator. Okay, so he was invented by Stan Lee. Prove to me Spider-Man is... Okay, yeah, it was invented by Stan Lee in Marvel Comics. Okay, I guess that's it. Can you prove to me that the Bible isn't real? No, you can't, because it was written thousands of years ago, you fucking dumbass. Like, atheists just... It's all about how it's all about being smug and repeating things they heard from TED Talks and Comedy Central. It's really just unbearable. Litmus garnered international attention when writer and academic Richard Dawkins tweeted about it recently. Yeah, Richard Dawkins isn't really an academic. The organizers said more youngsters attended this year. Among them was Suri CS 21. More youngsters are questioning religion now. This year, around 4 to 5 speakers were aged under 26. Will India become a Hindu nation? Some in our country, especially Hindutva forces, wish for it to be. Some fear it. However, it will never happen anytime soon, at least officially, he said. The RSS already believes India is a Hindu nation. However, it won't be able to make it official as our constitution is secular, he said. Suraj said not all attendees were atheists. Some are curious or doubtful. What is important is to keep the discussion going. A young ex-Muslim spoke on the golden age of Islam in the first session. There was a time when Islam promoted scientific thinking, philosophy, and new interpretations of the Quran. However, 14th century Islam returned to traditional beliefs. Tradition is automatically bad. They return to traditional beliefs. Therefore, it's bad because anything that's traditional is bad for some reason. That's not going to be explained. Women weren't allowed to read or write, and studying science or philosophy was banned. This didn't change. Muslims are paying the price for it even now, he said. He said, though, an increasing number of Muslims are questioning rigid religious rules. Thanks to social media, some continue to follow old practices. My family blames me for thinking more and asking questions. They feel we are not supposed to gain more knowledge than someone who lived in the 6th century, he said. Lucky for me, I don't really give a shit about Islam. And that's another mistake that atheists make. Like it's religion versus atheism. So Christians are on a team with Hindus and Muslims. Come, my Jewish friends and my Hindu friends and my Muslim friends. We all need to band together to defeat the atheists. Like, no, honestly, I don't give a shit about anybody other than Christians. It's not my job to defend anybody other than Christians, and I can't tell you how many times I've had the same fucking debate with atheists over and over. I really put a lot of oomph into it before my channel even started to get big. But near the beginning of my channel, I was in all kinds of debates, screenshotting people and going back and forth with people's channels. I got in all kinds of debates on 4chan. I mean, I can do it. If people are like, you can't debate an atheist, I can do it. I just recently did it, but it gets very repetitive. And the common themes that I find is that they are just all wrapped up in the paradigms of today. We've seen many paradigms come and go. Empiricism is always in flux. First they said there's a gay gene. Now they said there's not a gay gene. So when was science wrong? Oh, well, then we can quote Neil deGrasse Tyson. The cool thing about science is that it's true whether or not you believe in it. Okay, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Well, at one point, science said that there was a gay gene, and now it says there's not. So when was science wrong? But the cool thing about science is that it's never wrong. Well, I just fucking disproved you. I just objectively proved you wrong. So when was science wrong? When it said that smoking was good for you, or when then it said that smoking was bad for you? It's pretty fucking tough, isn't it? This topic just pisses me off, dude. All right. That's right. This guy, dude. We've kind of decided that we're not really crazy about this guy, but for some reason, he just kind of keeps popping back up. You know, dude, sometimes it's good to have somebody around that makes us roll our eyes a little bit. What do liberal churches have to offer? Nothing! I feel like this guy's the Aaron Clary of Protestantism. Let's wrap it up, gang.
It's time for Wretched Radio with Todd Friel.
So there we are, driving to church in a perfectly safe and legal fashion when, lo and behold, somebody sent me some love. Woofda. This is Wretched Radio. Had a decision to make. I could either slow way down or speed it up a little bit to merge into traffic. It was my estimation, and Mrs. Friel agreed it was perfectly within the lines of reasonable
I'll be
and
the judge
legal.
of that.
I accelerated, pulled in front of a person. It was not a dangerous pull in front of somebody. It just meant I got in front of him when he was initially in front of me. And he sent me a gesture that indicated not pleased with my driving skills.
Does it add up to just less than 2?
Yet added up to somebody's got some anger issues. And I thought to myself, wow, I've been annoyed with people's driving, aren't we all? And perhaps it was nothing but pride, and most likely, frankly, it was, because I don't know of just about anything I do that isn't tinged with pride somehow.
Hear, hear.
When I just thought, wow, how close to the surface can just be annoyance that just causes you to give that sort of animosity toward another human being. And then I realized, hey, I've got the same issue. drove by a church and it had the sign. It's sort of code, but not really. You know, the sign that indicates you can come to our church, stay in your sin, live in your sin, and we'll just love on you. It wasn't the rainbow sign, although that's one of these signs. It was the all are welcome sign. Now, to the best of my knowledge, I'm not familiar with any true church, which means they preach the essentials, they practice church discipline, they distribute the ordinances of the Lord's Supper, they do baptisms. You know, a real church. We welcome everybody. I mean, there's nobody standing at the door with electroshock or some sort of, all right, we're just going to hook you up and we've got a couple of questions for you before we'll let you into this building.
No, I saw a commercial that said that churches do that.
Oh.
And like the internet, it must be true.
If it's on the internet, you know what? Well, I guess we should talk about something else then today, because now that it's on the internet, my entire premise is just shot. Nobody's acting like that. Sure, people come into a church in their sins. Don't we all? But the church is about preaching the gospel to save you from your sins and then to conform you into the image of Jesus Christ, which means we care enough about you that we will call you to change. The all are welcome church sign, it says they're not going to do that. You can come as you are and stay as you are. And I have to confess to you, while I did not put up a middle digit, it really annoyed me. It was right there at the surface for me. These churches that don't care enough about the Lord or about people, that don't do what they've been commanded to do. That's what this is about. The Lord has told us how to run the church. These people go, no, we're not going to do it that way. That's too exclusive for our taste. So we're going to rewrite the rules. And we don't care enough about the Lord, the Bible, the truth, or people to call them to something better than what they are currently sitting in, which is a swamp of sin. And I kept thinking to myself, then what do you got? What do you got? What do these churches have to offer people? If it is not forgiveness of sins and sanctification by the power of the Holy Spirit, what have they got to offer? So I started thinking to myself, I walk into the church, they don't call me to do anything, and I ask, you keep talking about money, and you want me to give money, and you want me to keep coming here every Sunday. Why? And I can imagine the reverendress saying, well, community. We have community here. And my response would be, I got community. I've got neighbors. We get along swell. I've got community. I go to the gym. I'm a part of the botany club. I've got community. So what else you got? Well, there is an opportunity for you to meet a lot of varied people and to network. You know what? I'm a part of a network group. I was in a fraternity. What else you got for me? Well, we do have some very nice life lessons. So do I. I watch Oprah. What do you got for me? And the answer is nothing. They got nothing for people. They offer them absolutely nothing that cannot be obtained down the street or on the internet. And it should cause us to be stirred. What is the point of their existence? I know we all love seeing an America that's littered with churches on the landscape of pretty much every turn you take. I'd rather these things just go away. Go away. Sell the building. Quit pretending. You've got nothing for people. You don't offer them anything that can offer them hope that can't be obtained by Deepak Chopra, who, by the way, I couldn't help but notice this terrible accident, Los Angeles, the Kobe Bryant tragedy. It's just sad anytime something like this happens. They had Deepak Chopra on. Well, you see that when we sometimes least expect difficult things in our lives, that is the opportunity sometimes to recognize that we should be appreciating more the things that we currently have. Thanks, Deepak. Thanks. I could go to a Chinese restaurant and get that type of wisdom in a fortune cookie. Thanks, Deepak. You got nothing for me. And we've got the words of life. We're the ones with hope. We're the ones with truth. We're the ones with a genuine community. Not a community as long as you pay your dues, but when you're in the family of Christ, you are in the family of Christ. I was reading a book last night. It is about how we can be as churches more welcoming to people with disabilities, diseases, and disorders. Notice they all begin with dis. Dis is not, a form of not in Latin. So it's not orderly. It's not at ease. It's not right. Things aren't working right. And it asked a rather provocative question. What do the prayers sound like in your church? A lot of people, and rightly so, they'll be praying for needs, and mostly, might I suggest, that we mostly pray for things that aren't embarrassing. Lord, would you please help with our move, the transfer, the kids at school, getting into the need a new job, got an illness, all perfectly valid and right prayers. But what would the church look like if they contained more prayers that were potentially more vulnerable, where we prayed together asking for help on areas of life that maybe would be a little bit potentially embarrassing? Lord, would you please help my wife and I learn how to be more forgiving with one another? Lord, would you please help me to not blow my stack with my kids? Lord, would you please help me with my pornography struggle? Lord, would you please help me to not be so jealous of other people? What would happen? What would a church look like if the prayers were more vulnerable? And I thought to myself, and this is merely from noodling because it's not from experience, I don't think we tend to hear prayers like that. What a community we would have when we come together with our genuine hurts and our sorrows and our woes, not where we are constant. Church is a hospital. That's not all it is. But what if it were a place where we indeed carried each other's burdens even more, praying for each other, demonstrating, look, we are not like Facebook. We are not social media. We don't have it all together. Our lives indeed are challenging and hard and difficult, and there is struggle, and there are days when we are at the end of our rope. Let's do it together. Oh, what a place that would be. And we're the only ones who can offer that. How can you go to any of these clubs where you are not using the Bible as your source of hope and help, where they are not encouraging you to change, to repent of your sinful thinking, your pride, your anger, whatever it is? By the power of the Holy Spirit, they can offer nothing to people, nothing. And we've got it all. We have got what the world needs as they continue to spiral into depravity and sorrow and depression and suicide. Now, does that mean that somehow the church is supposed to become all things to all people? No. But all people need what we have. We don't change the church to meet the community's needs, but the reality is the community's needs is what we offer to people. And so it is, as I drove by this church on Sunday morning, reeling from having been not shown the love. I have to confess to you, I was hopefully it was more of a righteous indignation than just a flat out anger and frustration. But nevertheless, I thought, oh, what an opportunity if we do not go out into the highways and the byways and compel them to come into the kingdom and then invite them into a church where their true needs, not by surveying people, hey, what's your need? What do you need a church to be? No, we know what people need, and we've got it, and all we need to do is offer it to the world, because I got to tell you something, based on the fellow who showed me the love, they could use it. Like we all can. This is Wretched Radio.
All right, guys, couple things to wrap it up. My Christian lesson for today, what I got on my mind is the importance of forgiveness. And this is hard for us. So many people have done us wrong, boyos. So many people have done me wrong. Why do we need to forgive people? Well, The Bible says so. Jesus said that if you do not forgive the sins of others, my heavenly Father will not forgive you of yours. And I would add that in the same way that people have done you wrong, you have done God wrong. So when you are holding things over people's heads, and ultimately, guys, forgive people, but forgiving people doesn't mean that you give everybody a pass to walk all over you. It's about wiping the slate clean. You want a clean slate. I want a clean slate. You say, okay, everything that's in the past, I'm willing to let it go. But when people start wronging you right now in the current moment, you are allowed to have boundaries. You are allowed to stand up for yourself. But, and it's the answer to so many things, guys. If you're trying to make some improvements on your game with women are so sensitive and they don't like guys who are filled with resentment, man. It's going to help you become a better person. Just people did you wrong in the past, but obsessing over it, staying mad, staying angry, you got to let it go. It will push you closer towards being right with God. It will make God more prone to forgiving you. It will make you a happier, healthier person. It will make you more attractive. It will make you more wise. That's what I got off the top of my head for that. Doesn't the Bible also say an eye for an eye? It says that an eye for an eye is wrong. And then second of all, Rick's Instagram, it's always been red pilled as shit, but it's just really knocking it out of the park lately. He posted this, the revelation of the method in Superman 2. General Zod, in this frame, this is a picture from Superman 2, okay? He's standing in front of the Union Bank. This guy, General Zod, standing in front of the Union Bank. He says, "Is there no one on this planet to even challenge me?" Notice the backdrop, the Union Bank of Prescott Bush fame, one of the funders of both the Third Reich and the Bolshevik Revolution. This false dialect, grounded in the liberal imperium that has its origins in the Jacobin, Girondin false dichotomy of the Masonically inspired French Revolution. Its promotion of empiricism, atheism, and classical liberal, democratic, technocratic totalitarianism, being the major ideological export of this power bloc, whose only values have manifested themselves as a pragmatic will to power. So he's standing in front of the Union Bank where Prescott Bush was from. It represents an elite establishment, world power, and he says, "Is there no one who can challenge me?" So there's some really amazing stuff on Rick's Instagram, guys. He is Reverende_Frater Vagins. Highly recommend that you guys follow Rick Perry on Instagram. He is more of a teacher than I feel like I'm more of a influencer. I try, bro. Ultimately, my teachers are like the Southern Israelites and the Rick Perrys of the world. Those guys are teachers. I'm working on it. I'm doing the research. Follow our hard man buddy, Rick Perry, on Instagram. He's a real one. Sounds like God wants me to do some counter-spearing. And if a man cause a blemish in his neighbor as he hath done, so shall it be done to him, breach for breach, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. There's a new covenant, my friend. There is a new covenant in the blood of Jesus Christ, and you got to keep that in mind. It doesn't mean that the Old Testament is null and void necessarily, but we are in a new covenant, and you need to take your instruction from Jesus Christ. I would not be using the Old Testament to go against what Jesus taught you. It's a very popular sentiment that the Old Testament was so based and red-pilled and fashy, and that Christ was way too nice, but there's a new covenant in Christ, my friends, and you will be happier. You will be happier if you put your resentment in the past, if you forgive people from the past, give them a clean slate, because you've done God wrong. That's my reasoning. My reasoning is that you have wronged God. People have wronged you. Well, maybe God shouldn't forgive you for wronging him. You know what I mean? So if you expect God to forgive you, you're going to need to relate that to your own struggle in life, and you're going to need to forgive people. And a lot of forgiveness is just, you don't need to call everybody up and say, I forgive you. You just let it go. Stop being upset about it. And it's not easy, but take a deep breath and just think, okay, I regularly think about these people from the past who have done me wrong. I need to let it go. I need to focus on other things. It will make you a better person, my friends. Anyway, I don't want to commit to coming back for a chill stream tonight. I feel like I shouldn't. I got a house full of carbs just waiting to get smashed. Maybe I'll do a short stream when I'm cooking later. Maybe we'll cook something together and chat for a little bit. But I want to watch some movies tonight. Gosh darn it. Maybe we'll do a cooking stream later. If I do any sort of chill stream later, it's not going to be very long, though, because we got to smear it up tonight for Smeartober. God bless you, my friends. I appreciate you being here today, and I will